Okay, we're going to continue our review of this particular chapter, and we're going to start with question number 9. In number 9, you're asked to write the series 2, 4, 6, 8 for 10 terms. And basically what we're doing is we're kind of going in reverse. These are the terms that were actually figured out from one of these particular sigma notations. So you just got to figure out which one it is. You're going to do that by testing the lower bound and the upper bound into the given formula. So if you plug a 0 in for n here, you're going to get 0. If you plug in a 1, you're going to get 2. Well, you'll notice that 0 is not included in this particular series, and so we're going to disqualify letter D. Next, if I plug in the number 1, well, I get a 1 because the formula here is n, so you just plug in the 1 for the n, you get 1. If you next term would be 2. So this particular series would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. That's not this particular one here. So let's move on to the next one. If I plug in a 1, in for n, I'm going to get 3. Again, 3 is not a part of this particular series. So last but not least, if I plug in this 1 here, I get a 2. If I plug in a 2 right here, I get 4. If I plug in the next number, which is 3, I get a 6. And that one happens to meet the criteria of this particular series. So it's more of a testing the problem to get the right answer. Okay, now this one's a fairly cut and dry question. It says for the series, find the number of terms in the series. Well, that is a giveaway because the lower bound is 1 and the upper bound is 8. So there's going to be 8 terms. Number 11, for this series, find the first and the last terms. Well, to find the first term, you plug in the lower bound, which is 1. And you're going to get a 5. So the first term is 5. And the last term, after 5 terms, you're going to plug in a 5 for n. You're going to get a 9. And so the correct answer here for number 11 is letter C. Okay, moving on. Number 12. Evaluate the series. Okay, so we're going to start with a 1 and plug it in. We're going to get 5. And sigma notation means add these up, the sum of. When I plug in a 2, I'm going to get 6. When I plug in 3, I'm going to get 7. When I plug in 4, I'm going to get 8. You're simply going to add these numbers up, and when you do, you're going to get 26. Again, this one was kind of too easy. You can actually do this on your calculator. It's not my favorite question, but when you do that, you get letter A. Number 14, we're going to evaluate this particular series, and we're asked to find the sum of the first 7 terms. And so let's take a look at it. We're first going to determine whether or not it's arithmetic or geometric. And I can pretty much tell it's not arithmetic because the numbers are growing way too quick. So the common ratio here is going to be -4. And that is determined by dividing any 2 consecutive numbers. When you divide these 2, you get -4. If you were to divide these 2, you'd also get -4. So it really doesn't matter which 2 consecutive numbers you do. So the sum template is going to be the first term, parentheses, 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus r. And this is, I think this is the most, well, it's the most challenging template there is because we've got this part right here that when you put it into your calculator, it can get tricky. So I'm looking for the sum of the first 7. The first term is 6. R is -4, and we're going to raise that to the 7th power. And then that's going to be over 1 minus r, which is 1 minus -4. And out of this, we're going to get, if you put that into your calculator, you got to be very careful. This -4 should be wrapped up in parentheses. Because that negative is included in this power, so that makes a huge difference in your answer. This 1 minus -4 changes that to a 5 down there. At any rate, when you put that into your calculator, you should get letter A. And number 15, pretty much the same thing. You're going to find the sum of the first 10 terms using that same template. So first term is 1, and then it's going to be 1 minus r. Well, let's determine r. R here is actually going to be a 2 because when you look at each one of these, you're doubling each number to get the next number. So that'll be 2 to the 10th. That's a fairly large number. And then we're going to have 1 minus 2 in the denominator of that fraction. And again, when you put this into your calculator, you should get 1023. Number 16. We talked in class about diverge and converge. When something is converging, it's headed towards something. Diverge, it's not heading towards anything. The number might just be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The sum might be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We have an infinite geometric series here, so we're going to be using this particular template for that, or that formula. And we're not really asked to find the sum here. We're just asked, is it diverging or converging? And basically it's asking, does the infinite series exist? And when you look at this, the r factor is equal to 1/2. If r is less than 1, if it's between -1 and +1, then it is going to have an infinite sum, or excuse me, it's going to have a sum, and that is going to be obtained by using this formula. So therefore, this particular question converges, and it does have a sum. Let's do these last two questions for this video. We're going to evaluate these infinite geometric series. And again, we're looking for a sum. And we're going to be using this particular formula for both of these. And as I look at this, I want to make sure that r is a fraction between -1 and 1. And when I do, I see that it is being cut in half each time. So r is equal to 1/2. So it does have an infinite geometric sum. And I'm going to plug in to this formula the first term, which is 8, and 1 minus 1/2, which is 1/2. And 8 divided by 1/2 is the same as 8 times 2. So the answer is 16. You'll notice that this silly question has 2 16. So either one of those answers would be correct. Now taking a look at number 18, it's the same thing. You're going to use the same template. You do need to figure out your r factor. Your r factor is 0.1, and that is again obtained by dividing any two consecutive terms. 0.1 divided by 1 is 0.1. And again, let's put that into this template right here. The first term is 1, and it's going to be 1 minus 0.1. And that's going to give us 1 over 0.9, which is equal to 10/9. You put that into your calculator to make that determination. Or you can move that decimal point over once and move this decimal point over once, and you get 10 over 9, which is letter B. And that concludes this video.